What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Oops the Podcast. I don't know if you're feeling it, but I'm feeling it. It's getting nice out, baby.
Spring is in the air.
Sitting here with Francis, my man. How you doing, Francis?
Spring has sprung like that song. I'm sprung. Time to get me. Got me feeling like. Those are the days. Was that Neo?
She got me doing the dishes. It's T-Pain, I believe.
It was T-Pain's first hit.
Big song, yeah. That was a banger.
Did you watch the documentary that he was in?
No. It's about him?
Well, I think it's about auto-tune.
Oh, I have not, no.
But, he had that massive hit.
Yeah.
And then he started having all of his hits with auto-tune.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, he wasn't the first musician to sing with auto-tune. Cher actually did Do You Believe in Life After Love?
Oh, interesting.
All of that was auto-tune. But in the documentary, he spends a long time trying to find the exact voice modification on his Pro Tools or his own audio equipment that does it, and then he does finally find it. And he starts making these songs, becomes a massive hit. And then he's on an airplane with Usher, a private jet, I think going to the Emmys or something I don't know where. And Usher pulls him aside and he goes, "Hey man, I hate to say this, but you kind of ruined music."
Oh my God.
And means it.
Like way later or at the beginning when this first started?
I think once T-Pain had become a star because
it's
everyone
become a thing
started
now.
using auto-tune.
Crazy.
And it meant that you didn't have to sing on key.
Right. And dude, it's not a coincidence that most of the rappers are terrible live because they all auto-tune.
Yeah.
And this is the thing too, being a person who's used auto-tune in some of his songs in the past, there's a way to do it where you could once you dial it to a certain level is when it's very, very noticeable. To me, I'm trying to remember the Cher song. Were there moments where it sounded distorted like that?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I need to listen to that song again because I didn't notice it. But you can push it past a level of making it sound like this is auto-tune versus making it sound like you can sing when you can't.
Right.
Which is crazy.
And the sad thing for T-Pain is that I've seen him. He did this great thing with NPR.
Oh,
it's like there's something
what's it called
sessions.
again? Tiny Desk. Yeah.
And he sings acoustic with just a keyboard player,
and he's amazing.
Got a great voice.
I know.
He's a really good singer.
Yeah, there was a meme going around about that at one point too. That was T-Pain singing without auto-tune, and everyone was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah,
that's crazy though, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That Usher said that.
He said it really affected him. That he wondered, have I ruined music somehow?
Damn.
Because that Usher was basically saying it doesn't, anyone can become a singer now. You've opened up the floodgates of talentless people.
Dude. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
What's going on? Talk.
Well, dude, the ping pong match. Cat's out of the bag.
Ping pong.
What a great day that.
What a day.
Was.
What a day.
That was So yeah, go watch the video if you haven't watched it yet. Actually, yeah, if you have enough time in your life, I don't know how you listen to the pod, if you do it on your way to work, however the hell you do it. If you have the time to pause and watch the video and then come back and listen to the podcast after, we would recommend it because the match is so exciting.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
But anyway.
So some reason, by the way, I just went into La La Land for a second while you were talking, which I never do. I never do when you're talking. But I don't know why. I just started thinking about January 6th and the Capitol riot. I don't know why.
What particular images came to your mind? The Viking guy or more specific stuff?
I just the how crazy that was.
That was crazy.
Was that this year? No, it was a year ago. Had to have been. It wasn't January 6th of 2022.
21.
Yeah.
21.
Right. Okay. Anyway, that was crazy.
What a wild time that
crazy.
was, dude.
That was crazy. Started thinking about it.
All right, so this ping pong match.
Ping pong.
There's a lot of things worthy of discussing here. First of all, I would like to commentate on the video itself and how that came together. I really felt that the Ryan Francis play-by-play color thing worked very well. They both leaned into their respective roles and it was very funny.
Well, we're friends, if not more.
Lots of
and,
comedy.
I think that's, there's that natural chemistry, if not longing, that, lends itself to interesting, almost like a ping pong type of dynamic.
Right. A little back and forth.
Yeah.
A little back and forth ski. I mean, dude, totally. You guys were very funny. The match was good. Brian showed up ready to rock with his brother. Yeah. So to give you guys the story, if you don't remember, this guy DM'd me. I forget exactly. He reminded me of this when he got there. I hadn't remembered. He had mentioned that he played ping pong, that he was good at ping pong. And apparently I had sort of just been like, cool. And that was it. And then he followed up with a wager. Oh, yes. So I showed up to it wasn't even a ping pong tournament. It was like a happy hour drinks for my friend's master's program. And I showed up prepared for ping pong and just whooped everybody. But it wasn't cool because of how prepared I looked when everybody else was wearing button down shirts. You know what I mean? It kind of takes away from it when you're sort of the Rain Man of ping pong, So not that I am. I mean, I'm good at ping pong, but I'm not the greatest ping pong player ever. Anyway, the guy then heard that story, challenged me to a match. The challenge was I get $500 if I win. If he wins, he gets to come on the pod.
Yep.
Brought it up on the pod. It kind of got a lukewarm reception, I would say. You guys were we're going to have this guy in the pod. It was okay, fair enough. We don't need to have him on for an hour and a half. He can come on for 10 minutes.
I think my lukewarmth.
Lukewarmth. You're lukewarm.
I think my lukewarmth. That's funny.
That's good.
That's funny. No one says that.
Very good.
I'm going to use that.
My lukewarm.
My lukewarmth stemmed from my instant feeling that anyone willing to put $500 down on a ping pong game without knowing anything about your ability must be very good.
Right.
I thought this guy was going to be incredible. And basically wipe the floor with you. No offense.
No, it's all right.
And then come on the podcast.
So I knew that the capability, the possibility for that was there for sure. I think that it was more potentially obvious to him. I don't actually know. It's hard to say if he knew how good or not good I was. To me, I was if this guy's above a certain level, this is going to be tough. But whatever. I
wouldn't tell a stranger a one-sided wager where I only stood to lose. I was putting up $500 and they were not putting up the same amount of money, or at least some money, unless I was 100% certain I was going to win.
Totally. So there's other important factors here. One of them being it is the idea of coming on the podcast is cool. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So let's just say that is something still agreed, $500. But we have come to find out that this guy does reasonably well as well.
Yeah. I mean, I would even go so far as to say
more than reasonably
if anyone is willing to pay us $500, they can just come on the podcast for 10 minutes. That's the rate. Okay. If you're willing, that's your friggin' backstage pass, your special wristband at the Yankees game if you want.
So I think we've gathered that this guy is very successful. However, it's still a lot of money, and nobody wants to lose $500.
Correct.
From anybody that I know. You know what I mean? I'm sure there are people out there who are that rich or whatever.
That's right.
Whatever. So he shows up. Did I miss anything?
No.
Okay. So he shows up. I was actually a little worried. Kind of putting it together was a little bit of a clusterfuck, but we actually ended up figuring out a perfect scenario where we had a private room. Shout out to Spin, New York City. 23rd and Park, great place to play ping pong, awesome spot. They really hooked us up and took care of us. It was a great place to do this little event. We showed up, we started warming up, and in the warm up, I was like, okay, this guy's probably good. I could tell, but sometimes when you're warming up, you can't really tell.
Yeah, you're not bashing it.
Not bashing yet. But when I saw him hit through a couple forehands, I was like, I'm potentially in trouble here.
Yeah, and you mentioned that to me when I walked in.
When Francis walked in, I mentioned that. Francis was like, told you. Essentially.
I just I looked at him and nothing, no offense to Brian, but he wasn't some, I guess super jacked looking in shape guy. He was which made me think he must be a ninja of ping pong.
Okay, but he did not, to clarify, and you'll see this in the video, he didn't look like super big and muscular, but he didn't look not in shape.
No, correct.
He looked in shape.
He didn't show up wearing, authentic ping pong shoes.
Right.
And
he did bring his own paddle, which step in the right direction.
It made me even more nervous.
Yes.
It's like, this is a person who's so self-assured about his ping pong ability that he doesn't have to flaunt his peacock feathers just to intimidate his opponent. Does that make sense?
Definitely. But I mean, so I didn't even think about any of that stuff. I saw him, whatever, but I'm glad you got the full scouting report. No, but I'm serious. Like, you were, I sort of was just kind of like, all right, whatever. Saw him pull out his own paddle. I'm like, that could be a bad sign, but doesn't necessarily have to be. We start warming up. And then we start playing. So I kind of notice a couple things. And I have this serve that's like by no means like an incredible serve or anything. But if I know I'm going to beat somebody, I don't use it because it's not fun. Like, I don't want them to miss returns. I want to have rallies. I want to do that. But if I think, oh, this guy is tough, I will start doing that serve. So I start doing it at the beginning of the game and I win a couple free points from it. I end up winning that first game. So we're playing best out of 5 games to 21. I win the first game, but he missed a bunch of those service returns. And I was like, if he starts to figure out how to return that serve, I'm going to be in trouble. He did. He won the next couple games pretty straight. Actually, sorry. He won the second game very easily. The third game was really close. I actually had match points in it. And then he won it. And then he went up big in the fourth game. And that's where it got interesting. I go down 19-11, game 21. Hill Dog walks in. Hill Dog like a beaming light of hope.
Like a woodland nymph. I don't think she was walking. I think she glided across the floor.
As she glided, you could hear like the sort of calls of siren, the whole army of sirens behind her.
Birds carried the train of her gown in their beaks.
So she shows up. Francis is telling her, he's like, we're in big trouble here. Hillary seemed to not be that worried, which I really appreciate. I told Francis before, like, this was Hillary's first opportunity to kind of support me in this kind of capacity in public. And I was worried that she'd be shy.
You say that she's certainly been to comedy shows.
Yeah, but it's different. Like, this is sort of like, like rooting, like clapping. Let's go. Like, where at the comedy show, you just sit there, like, whatever, laugh. And I can't tell what she's doing,
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking that she was going to be shy. I was fine with that. But then when she was like supporting me, thought it was really romantic.
Ooh.
I'm serious. I found it very romantic.
Nice.
He starts missing a couple returns. I play a couple good points. It goes from 19-11. I think I won 10 points in a row.
That's right.
21-19. I don't know what happened. He definitely got a little tight, I think. And
it probably didn't help that I was over there screaming, he's choking. He's choking. Yeah. Brian's it's actually happening. He's really choking.
It took a village. You know what I mean? Like, I think that without the stakes there and without a couple of those things happening, he probably could have hit 1 or 2 big shots and closed me out. I did play a couple tough points. He gave me a couple. And then before you know it, we're in the fifth set.
Fifth set.
Stakes are high. Everybody's, it's crazy. I think I go down 19-15 in that one.
That's right.
And I believe the same thing happened. Then 6 points in a row and won it. 21-19 in the fifth.
Yes. And you know what they say? There's no quit in Julio, but there is log
There's
or
log.
ghoul, maybe?
Either you can't spell Julio without ooey.
Yeah.
Or no, you can't spell quit without
yeah, that's
ooey.
right. There is an OUI.
Quit without we.
Yeah.
But dude, so then he immediately grabbed the cash. I was like, I couldn't believe that I was able to pull it out. You know what I mean? I still felt like I got kind of lucky, but like wasn't gonna give up, try to fight for every point. And all it took was like a couple of points that I shouldn't have won that I won, and then he gave me a couple, and that was it. So he gave me the money right away. I split it with the boys immediately, and then the leftover money we took to the bar and we all hung out and ended up drinking quite a bit.
We did have a lot to drink, which I really needed a day off. But Julio's ping pong victory was so exhilarating that I abandoned my sobriety and any prior notions I might have had about drying out that day, and we had a couple Negronis.
It was really fun. It was really fun seeing everybody with their utility being used. Like Chris gliding around with the cam, shooting it beautifully. Ryan being hilarious as the play-by-play guy. Francis being hilarious as the color commentator. Me out there on the field. Hill Dog fucking sitting in the stands. And it was a really great afternoon, man.
Awesome day. Victory for our comrade here. A very class act performance from Brian.
Great guy. We're definitely going to play again too. Like he splits his time between New York and I think Texas, and he'll be back, and I look forward to playing with him again.
Yeah. Super fun. Big victory for the pod.
Big W.
Team dub. Loved it.
The
It's
boys.
fun to root for someone else, and be as invested in their performance as I almost have been in my own. When I go to a professional sports game these days, I don't really give a shit.
Right.
But to be personal, it's as close as I'll get at this point in my life to rooting for a son of mine, my son,
right. That's what I was gonna
on
say.
a field. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Totally.
Totally.
Because none of my other friends are doing anything like that. So, yeah, very cool.
We
Very
hyped
cool.
it up pretty well. Like I'm happy with the entire rollout of this event. I think that it was fun. So.
Agreed. Total victory.
Very random.
Yeah.
And very fun. So.
Well, we were all very proud of you. I will say that you were humble as ever in victory, which I think it would have probably been my instinct as well, because he was such a nice guy and you've just been handed money. But you deserved it.
Thank you. And I don't want to take away from that, but I know how badly it feels to blow such a convincing lead like that.
Yeah.
I know how much it hurts. I really, truly do. I still think about matches that I lost where people are surely the guy who won isn't still thinking about it.
Right.
So I did not want to rub it in, and I maybe took away from myself a little bit, but it was definitely his match to lose at one point. I hung in there, hope for the best, and got the W for the boys.
But people always say that. They always say, we didn't like, they didn't win, we lost. It's like, well, the team that won still has to at least make a certain level of performance. They have to rise. You could have lost.
Totally. No, I know, and I did not.
You didn't.
But my point, so I mean it more specifically in that he was setting the tone for the points when he was hitting his big shots, he was winning the points. And he sort of stopped doing that in those moments. And I was able to kind of like hang in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did this rouse within you some sort of competitive spirit to return to athletic competition?
Not really. No. I love playing ping pong. It's sort of like low maintenance, and tennis is like a thing where you kind of need to maintain it a little bit more. So I don't have the urge to go back to that. And Hillary at one point says in this video, she says he's super competitive. Don't worry. And it's funny. I don't actually think that I'm that competitive of a person unless there's like a very clear outcome to something. I'm not competitive at all. So like in ping pong, there will be a winner or a loser, and that is it. When it comes to like multiple people vying for a position, I just do not become competitive in that. And professionally, I'm not competitive at all.
Yeah, but I think that there are a lot of ways to measure competitiveness. And a lot of the time we assume that the person who is, the most upset that they lost, or is screaming the most after each point is the most, or talking the most shit is the most competitive. But I mean, there's also this element of like, you're down 19-11 and you're just quiet, and you go into this zone where you're not going to miss a shot, and you haven't given up yet. You haven't thrown in the towel.
Right.
And that's could be a much higher level of competitive ferociousness than somebody who, is
you might be
screaming like, fucking come on.
Right.
Be better, man.
right.
Is smacking themselves in the head, whatever.
No, definitely. I definitely agree with that. No, you're right. But no, when it comes to that kind of stuff, definitely I like to be focused. It's fun. I love competing when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I just meant sort of like, I feel like comedy can be very competitive, and I don't feel competitive about it. Like I don't, when people get things, I feel like there's a way to sort of wish that you could be doing it too without like being competitive about it. Like I don't really know how to describe it.
Well,
like,
that's, I mean, almost sort of envy or
not like, it's not even
longing.
maybe, or just kind of like admiration.
Yeah.
And not being like, oh, I need to have the best set. Oh, I need to do this or that because they did this or that. I don't know. Like just, it doesn't hit me in that way because I feel like it's a hard game to play because it's just so hard to quantify.
Yeah.
Like you can't, someone could just be like, you didn't win. And what are you going to say? There's no way for you to prove that you won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no scorecard. I don't know. So it makes me, I don't really know. But the reason I'm bringing this up is we had mentioned this briefly the other day, and then we sort of stopped talking about it in casual conversation. But the idea of like people competing with you and what that feels like. And sometimes it can get under my skin a little bit when I feel somebody competing with me. Because it's like, I'm sitting there, I'm not involved in this competition, but you are building yourself up while like trying to like put me down. And there's something like really shitty about that dynamic. You know what I mean? Have you ever experienced that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, but I find that when I see that happening, it does light the fire of competitiveness within me. And that's when I start enjoying it sometimes because I know what I'm capable of. And I often find that I was never the athlete who would talk shit to try to get into the minds of other players.
Yeah, right.
But I find that when people do that, it's typically a sign that they are nervous.
Right.
And you can therefore shut them up pretty quickly
by
just running through them or something.
Right. But I just mean, okay, so I mean in like like a work setting, maybe, or just like in life, you know what I mean? And I know to your point that still applies where it's like, oh, this person just like doesn't feel good about themselves. But like still, like just because you don't feel good about yourself, don't come here and try to like put your shit on me. You know what I mean? Like I'm fine, dude. I'm not. Can we not do this? You know what I mean? Yes, you win. You're good. Good job. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too abstract about it.
No, I get it. And we've talked about competitiveness before, and neither of us really like people who, you know, try to make everything competitive. Chris is putting on a mask right now. What's that about? Oh, wow. Huh.
That's crazy.
Chris is voluntarily wearing a mask right now.
Over his chin.
To prevent himself from itching his beard.
I'm just sitting here switching, and I like fidgeting with things, and I forgot to bring like my fidget toys that I usually play with, and so I just pull on my beard, and then I get patchy beard, so I wear this mask over my chin to stop myself from doing it.
Yeah, nobody likes a patchy beard.
No.
Nobody.
Well, speaking of fidgeting, do you remember we were at drinks with Raina and Ashley, and we were sitting outside on a sort of bench or something.
Oh yeah.
That was surrounded by tiny, tiny little pebbles.
Oh, this is great.
The nice, smooth, round pebbles.
Dude. Francis
I love
blew my mind with this.
little pebbles. I love pebbles. I mean, come on. Is there anything better to have in your hands than a big pile of smooth, round pebbles? You know, they're sort of, I don't know what they're smaller than marbles, certainly, but bigger than nerds. Somewhere in between, probably halfway between a nerd and a marble.
Yeah,
just about.
That's a pretty good.
Small pebbles.
That's pretty good.
And you could scoop up a handful of them, and you might have 85 pebbles in your hand.
Dude, you really nailed the size comparison, I think.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, it's incredible.
So those are the size of the pebbles, which is a nice way to decorate an outdoor space.
Agreed.
Because when you step or when someone's coming towards you, you hear that that gravelly. Oh, here comes so and so. I can't. It's not quite it, but you guys know what I mean. Yeah. Again, I'd have to practice it.
It's ridiculous. It's insane.
You know what I mean? You guys know the sound of someone walking on pebbles that are halfway between a nerd and a marble. So I start scooping these up, and I'm just flicking them out of the side of my hand as we're talking, and the movement and the tactile pleasure of feeling these smooth pebbles between my fingers and the weight from my left hand of them getting less and less as I throw them back into the pebble pool is joyful to me. I don't know why, and it helps me think. It helps me sort through my thoughts as I'm moving, right? I don't know why. And Raina commented on it, and she was like, "What are you doing? This is distracting." And I was like, it helps me. But then she went inside to get another drink, and I thought, okay, we can turn this, we can crank this pebble, we can utilize these pebbles even more. And you
didn't tell me what you were doing either.
Yeah, I set up an empty. We had these to-go cups, these plastic cups that had held our beers, and I set one up about six feet away.
Yeah, like over the. So if you're sitting at like an outdoor table, low table, he put it beyond the table. So we were sitting in the seats on the other side of the table, and he put the cup on the other side.
That's right, sort of a couch, then a table upon which to set your drinks, and then beyond that, I put the cup. And I stuck it into the pebbles and then sort of pushed some pebbles around it to create a base, right? Because again, these pebbles were big enough. I learned that if you threw the pebbles into the cup and it wasn't supported by pushing the pebbles around it, it would tip over.
Oh, right.
Which is what happened a couple times. And I said, okay, I'm going to have to fix this.
And this is the beauty of little pebbles, dude. Yeah. They can be shaped.
So then I went up and I set the pebble properly and cemented it. I anchored it. And then I started throwing these little pebbles at it. And then Julio said, "Hey, that looks fun." And he finally came around. Julio over here, too cool for Schoolio, sitting there having nice conversations at the old Dumbo house, being all cool. And then finally Raina went in, and it was only when I started the game that he said, "That looks fun, let's do it." And then, of course, we had rules.
Yeah.
And it was first to achieve 5 pebbles in the cup.
5 pebbles in the cup, win by 2.
And just like, almost as a precursor.
No, not win by 2. If you make it, I get a rebuttal chance.
That's right.
Yeah.
But just like his ping pong match, he went up 4-2.
Yeah.
And could not shut the door.
I couldn't, yeah. Well, Francis,
Pulled
like,
Brian.
Francis, you may have, if you didn't stroke 3 in a row, you made 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
You started just nailing him in the fourth quarter.
I had the tiger. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Went up 5-4, and then I missed on the final shot, and Francis took the W.
Yeah. So these are the kinds of things, that you can do.
Yeah. And I was very much involved in that competition. I was trying my best to win. We played our best. We did everything. We left it all out on the field, and today just wasn't our day.
I wonder who else out there likes to have pebbles in their hand. I know there's somebody. It's a big joy of mine.
Well, dude, it's like beads with like,
yeah,
like Arabic people like having the like beads or whatever. Like I meet Middle
prayer
Eastern people.
Beads. Yeah,
they just like always fidgeting with them. It's nice to like fidget.
I think that I could be wrong here, but I think that a lot of Muslims have prayer beads, which helps them count their prayers. But I could be wrong because I know that's true of rosary beads too, and I don't want to mix faiths here.
Okay, we gotta do a Ryan's fact checking this as we speak.
I don't know if that's what the prayer beads are for. I do recall in season 1 of Homeland, they have Sergeant Brody on tape, and am I right?
Oh yeah, what a crazy
in Islam too. Yeah.
And also
in Catholicism or Christianity with prayer beads, the rosary beads rather.
Crazy.
Have you seen season 1 of Homeland?
I have.
Remember that scene
it's
where
a little bit of a spoiler, right?
Well, it's like episode 2.
Okay.
Season 1.
Yeah.
Some very early on, they catch him fidgeting with his hands on tape.
Yeah.
And what's her name?
Claire Danes.
Yes, Claire Danes. Thinks that he's signaling to somebody, but he's just fidgeting because he is used to holding the prayer beads.
And that's when they find out that he's
converted to Islam. Yep.
Yeah. So, question: what's her name in the show again? It's like it's like an iconic name. Claire Danes in Homeland.
Carrie Matheson.
Carrie Matheson. Well done.
Carrie Matheson.
Francis pulled a fucking move and a half at Dumbo House that I would like to talk about.
Uh-oh.
We were in the elevator.
Oh, this is good.
And I looked at him. I was like, you motherfucker. So we're in the elevator. We're talking. And there's like probably 4 women in the elevator and then Francis and myself. And I'm like pinned against the door of the elevator, essentially. Not pinned, but like I'm facing Francis. My back is toward the elevator door. I'm the closest person to the elevator door. There might have been somebody equally close. The door opens. I immediately get out. Francis sits and waits and lets the remaining people in the elevator.
Not only do I do that, I gave them
He gave them the
upward facing palm, pointing
After
down
you.
arm after you, my ladies.
Yes. And I looked at him and I was like, you dog. And then the women found it funny.
Yeah.
And they were like, haha, like and I was
Nothing
like,
better than letting your buddy go out like the misogynist that he is. And then you sort of recede back to the back wall to make room for the ladies to leave the elevator first. It really it makes your act of chivalry even more pronounced.
Yeah, dude, I was fucking not happy about that.
Dude, you left out a very key element of this, which is we had a conversation moments before about how 3 times, or no, we had it after, where 3 times in the last 20 to 30 minutes of that day, you had let me go before you. You had held, you had held 3 doors for me.
Yeah.
I think one was like the elevator of our apartment. And then when we got to the Dumbo House, you opened the door for me and said, like, after you go ahead. And then on the absolute heels of your acts of, politeness,
Right.
I threw you under the bus.
Yeah. You took it. Yeah. You took all the marbles back.
Yeah.
That was really funny and good. And it brings up an interesting point. So I've gone back and forth with acknowledging that rule in different varying capacities. So at one point I was kind of like aware of it, whatever. Then at one point I was extreme and I would do, what you did was not extreme, by the way. You were in the back of the elevator. You could say it would have been potentially, maybe this isn't extreme. I would say that maybe it would be a little extreme if I were to have made a point to let everybody leave before me when I was where I was in the elevator, in a crowded elevator. However, wouldn't make it wrong, just the way that you would do it. And you could argue that the way that I did it was wrong by exiting first. Hillary has told me since we've started dating that it bothers her if there's an elevator that's super crowded and like there's a guy standing in front of the door and he will like move out of the way inconveniently to make sure that she can get out first.
Yeah.
And that is not at odds with what either of us did. I easily could have stepped out of the way, but that has put it into my brain that what I did was an acceptable move. And I'm not questioning that.
I think it's a custom that is probably dying out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's just another one of those vestiges of a different time of gender inequality, where there were, acts of chivalry that some people still look back on fondly. But if we're honest, it's like, why can't a man, why does a man have to let a woman get out of the elevator first?
Right.
Is it something about there's a power dynamic there that, is probably toxic in some way. I don't know.
But it extends. So the reason why I think it's not bad and I don't mind it, it extends to seniority. Have you noticed that if you're in the elevator with an older guy, he'll always let you go first? And you should just accept that.
I was going to say, if there's a really old person in the elevator, a man, I'm going to let him go first.
Okay. If he's really old, maybe it makes it a little different. Say the guy's like 60 and you are you and you say go and he goes, no, please, you go. If you were to then be like, no, you go, you're officially now just making it weird.
If there's a 60-year-old man, I'm not thinking too much about the who's going first.
Fine. But like I defer to his upward facing palm.
Got it. Well, it is a fascinating. Have you ever gotten called out for it?
For what? Not letting somebody out first?
Yeah.
Never. No.
I still remember to this day, I was with 5 of my buddies. We were in an elevator. we were in college, and we were riding the elevator down, and a woman was on the elevator with us. She must have been in her 50s or early 60s, and we were all in front of her, but she'd gotten on first, and so there's 6 of us, and the door's open. One of my buddies starts to walk out. She grabbed his shoulder, and she goes, "No, you wait for me," and walked out.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
I don't get it, though. I don't really get it. I mean, there are certain things I do get, right? I get the Titanic women and children first in the life rafts.
Mm-hmm.
I do get that. There's this like gallantness that men are supposed to sacrifice themselves or, make sure that the women, I don't know. There's definitely a power dynamic there too. But just in terms of shit that's like based purely on respect, there's no, you're talking about a difference of 1 second in your day.
Mm-hmm.
If she gets out ahead of you or you go out ahead of her, and why do we still do it? Why do men let women out? It's respect, but do women expect it still? Do they like it when a man does that? I don't know.
Yeah.
That seems like one that could be done away with that wouldn't really impact society for worse or for better in any way.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's innocent chivalry and like.
Yes, I agree.
It doesn't have to be a big deal. But I
won't lie.
I understand what you're saying.
It does make me feel good.
Yeah.
When I give the upward palm. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't think I've ever in my life been on an elevator with women, let them go first without giving them the upward palm.
Right. Yeah, how else would you even do that?
You just stand
you
in
do the
back,
Zorro downward palm?
If you just like stand in the back and don't motion, just wait.
Oh, right.
I need to make a show of it. I need the flourish. That's my abracadabra.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Which is showy. That is me asking for a reward.
I don't necessarily know. You're just directing traffic, brother.
They know where to go. They're not cattle. I'm not a collie,
Hurting them.
They know where to go. There's one way.
That's funny.
But if I give the upward palm, there you go, the sweeping upward palm, then I often get back like a sort of a twinkle in the eye.
Right.
Oh, here's an old-fashioned man.
Yeah.
Chivalry is not dead.
Yeah, right.
And that's
it's a thing.
Warms you.
Yeah. People, it's not in right now, but it doesn't mean people don't like it. Being involved in politeness and in all forms is nice, I find.
You could argue almost too that, I mean, this is ridiculous, but you could argue that other vestiges of chivalry, a man paying for a woman on a first date, you could almost trace that to like, okay, well, there's a wage gap and there's wage inequality between genders, and so therefore, a man, I don't know, something fucked up, like an apology for all of that, right?
I don't know.
But again,
that's not
the elevator one. I don't get.
I mean,
you don't think anyone's paying from the first date because they're making amends for the wage gap.
No, I don't.
I agree. I don't think that's on anyone's mind.
But there might be something there, like on a deeper level, I'm sure.
Subconsciously, I'm sure a lot of guys say, I'm going to pay for this because I probably make more money than her.
Like just the fact, like that sort of comes with these like roles that
which is inherently sexist.
Right.
And this is where you start to get extreme cases, which I want to see more of, where I would love to be in an elevator, offer the upward palm after you, and have a woman be mad at me for it. I'd love that.
Yeah.
I'd love it if a woman said, "What do you think, I can't exit the elevator
after
of my own
you?
accord when I choose? You think just because I'm a woman that I need to get out of here first?"
Oh, I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen.
Or if I'm holding a door for, I can hold the door for myself. What are you doing?
I got to be honest. The chances are you may live in one of the more likely places for that to potentially happen on Earth.
Yeah, I want chivalry to
It could
backfire.
happen in Brooklyn.
I want to
could
see
happen
it.
in
I
Brooklyn.
want to see it thrown against me and have me be branded a toxic cis male
dinosaur.
as a result. Yeah, because then if that happened, it would be the end of it forever for me.
Oh, then you would just strike back against women.
And no, not gonna go that far. But then I would just say they don't want this anymore.
Right.
They don't want this anymore. It's over. They've chosen. A woman told me. They've chosen that it's over. It's done.
Imagine from then on, as you're on like floor 3 or 2, you now are like, hey, I just would like to offer you the opportunity to exit the elevator first. I've been scolded for this in the past by your kind.
That's what you would do?
No, but
that's what you would do? You'd still give them the option? I would say this. I'm getting out first because one of your kind told me not to. You're welcome. Told me not to let you go first. You did this. That's what's happening. If it were up to me, I would still honor the age-old traditions. But as it were, we live in a different time. Personally, I don't get it. I'm getting the fuck out of the elevator.
She'd be like, are you okay? Dude. But did she be like, don't let one bad apple ruin it for the rest of us ripe ones? And you'd be like,
you think
okay.
she would say that?
Well, she might.
And I would say,
You'd be like, I'm engaged, miss.
Yeah. What are you doing, lady? You're old for me. But with this would go a lot of things. It's only going to take one domino to fall. And once I get yelled at for holding one elevator, I will no longer fetch overhead luggage for women on airplanes. And I mean, it's all over. It's
so
toast.
this is the thing about this. You are kidding right now, and you will absolutely continue to do all those things.
I know.
And I want to make sure that everybody listening knows that.
It's more fun
because
if they,
I don't
if they
want
don't know
Francis to. I don't want Francis. I know that there are people here who will take what he just said seriously, and I don't want him to do that to himself.
If this is what I got recanceled for,
no,
I would celebrate it.
I didn't even. No. I wasn't even looking out for you in a canceling way. That's not cancelable. But I'm looking out for you in a. I don't even know.
It's like you're offering my services as a bag fetcher.
Correct. And
which I don't appreciate.
Feel free, and if you don't like this, we can cut this.
Pythons are for me, not for anyone else. There are snakes on the plane.
We can cut my unsolicited apology for Francis if you guys want to.
No, leave it.
If you want to fucking go down with that one.
Leave it.
But not to say that you would go down with it. But dude, I know you. I know that all you would do is bitch to us about it and continue to be the most chivalrous person on earth.
The other one I was going to remove is no more jars can be. I'm not opening any more jars. Which basically means women can no longer eat non-perishable foods. You've removed an entire food group because for whatever reason, none of you have any forearm strength. I don't know if it's grip strength, whatever it is. Have you ever seen a woman like having left to her own devices to open a jar of salsa?
Dude,
and one time I walked in on Sierra and she was like boiling it in a fucking pot of water to loosen it. I was like, this is what it's come to? You're telling me that if we underwent some sort of nuclear apocalypse where the only type of food that we could scrounge for were canned goods, you'd be dead.
No
instantly.
pickles for you.
Instantly.
Dude, that is funny. I can't tell you the amount of times where how easily I've opened something like that. That Hill Dog or whoever had no chance of
What
opening.
do you stock a bomb shelter with if it's an all-female bomb shelter?
That's funny.
Oh,
Dude, that's great.
yeah.
That's fun. Dude, I guarantee this is the other thing that's funny about this now. As many people, I bet that more people will be upset at me for making the disclaimer about Francis kidding than the people who would have taken Francis seriously. It would have been like, you're a pussy or something. Someone would have said something like, I will get that message.
I think frankly, given how open we've been about how we actually feel about this stuff, I don't think we're going to get much backlash, but I could see.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I could see there being issues across the board.
Yeah.
I could see, you know what I mean?
I don't think anything will be a major issue.
People mad at you, people mad at me, people mad at you for being apologetic on my behalf.
So, but dude, there's no way for people to know though how much of a gentleman you actually are. And have seen it in action. You really are a gentleman.
Yeah, well, I thank you. I appreciate it.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with being
I
a gentleman.
can't get away from how I was raised, unfortunately. I do find that it's fun when you are someone who has a public persona, for people to not know the truth of you. I don't need.
Yeah, but what if the truth of you is good and they think it's not? This is not even using this as an example. In general, generally speaking, the idea of the people thinking something about me that is negative, and if it were to be true, they would be right. The idea of that bothers me a lot. Me being misrepresented.
I think
just for me.
I think I got to a point where so many people made assumptions about who I was, that I couldn't change it. And then
fair.
You just give up and you just you can't let it affect you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of lean in sometimes, and it's fun to sort of push them further into their false assumptions.
Fair. Completely fair.
You know?
Uh-huh.
But then the flip side is that it's very fun to hear people be surprised.
Right.
They're like, I thought I would hate him based on the fact that he does this or wrote this or made this joke that I read. I always hated you. And then I met him and he's actually a really sweet guy.
Dude, yeah. No, that must be a fun phenomenon that you experience.
It's fun. It's fun.
And not even based on. So what I took from that is like people, look at you and they make assumptions, right? So it doesn't matter what your point is. It doesn't matter what you're going to say. They're going to think what they're going to think, right? So then it's fun to be like, oh, okay, you think I'm like that? I'm going to fucking lean into it and make you even more annoyed because you're annoying me to begin with us making assumptions about me or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But then to your point, you get to turn it every time when you have wonderful interpersonal skills and people are like, man, this guy's a great guy.
Yeah. The flip side of this is that a lot of the time I'll meet somebody, in person at a bar or whatever, somebody who knows the work I've put out, and I often get the comment, I really hated you at first. But then I liked this or this grew on me. And then they think they're complimenting you.
Right. And I was just going to ask, that must feel weird to hear.
Well, it instantly makes me think that they're stupid. Because they they subscribed to a character and they thought they knew me based on tweets or I'm a comedian. It's not far off from me saying, I really hated you, Christian Bale, at first because you played some villain in a movie.
Right.
But then I saw you play this Batman and I liked you again.
Right. And
you're welcome that I changed my mind about you.
Your Twitter is so clearly a character that it would be crazy. Yeah, I agree with you. It would be crazy to be thinking that you're taking those at face value.
Right. Unfortunately, most of this came from my time at Barstool. I just think, people made a lot of assumptions and they dig into your
shit.
Family realities and then just assume they hate you because who the hell knows why. But, you kind of meet these people, they say what they have to say, and then they assume that because they've made this effort to change their minds about you, that you're willing to embrace them as a friend. But as soon as somebody tells me that, I will continue to be nice to them and I play the game, but secretly I fucking hate them. I think that I'm like this, fuck this person. You are an ant. Your brain was sold down the river on a totally exaggerated version that is not even close to who I am. You've never met me before, and you made complete decisions about the type of person I was based on something you saw on a website or on the internet or whatever that you know is entertainment.
Right, totally.
You're dumb. You're a dumb person. And I have nothing in common with you, and I want to exit this conversation as quickly as possible in a polite way. Where you will continue to be a fan. I'm not going to turn you back against me. but I will not talk to you anymore.
Fair.
That's what's going on in my head.
Yeah, I get it.
Do I sound like an asshole, Chris?
I mean, the only...
You might have went a little far.
Which is fine, but it's just like, like anybody who said that to you.
Listen. This is the issue. Anyone who comes up and is like, "Love your work, you're great." I like those people, obviously, and I will hang out, get to know them as equals. But fundamentally, I just know that I have never watched a movie or listened to a podcast or read someone's Twitter jokes or a blog or seen some stand-up comedians act where I've made decisions about the type of person I thought they were. Even Nate Bargatze, a lot of his act is, I'm stupid, right? He's like, I don't know that. I don't know anything about that. He says that a lot. And yet, he's a brilliant comedian. So I know that Nate Bargatze is a lot smarter than he's letting on. And if for some reason stupidity were a character trait that I hated, and I saw Nate Bargatze at a bar, I hope that I would have the intelligence to not go up to him and say, I used to hate you because of how you said you were stupid on stage. But then I saw you do this joke about math and I came around.
Right.
Like that. What are you talking about?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like I did jokes about being a douchebag. I wrote a blog at Harvard. One of my favorite blogs, not Harvard. One of my favorite blogs at Barstool that I ever wrote was a long blog defending the guy in the scene from Good Will Hunting, the ponytail Harvard grad guy, saying he won the argument against Matt Damon, because Matt Damon threatens to beat him up in the street. And whenever you're having an intellectual argument or any kind of argument with someone, whoever threatens violence has lost, right? That's a brute. And I wrote this blog, and it made a lot of people mad. Because a lot of people love that character of Good Will Hunting. And they say, oh, this is the common man. Here's this Boston townie who stayed true to his roots, wanted to continue working on the construction site with Ben Affleck and raising their kids and going to Little League games, even though he was a prodigy and this gifted wonderkind. And it was only when his friends forced him to go seek his potential that he reluctantly left. And so they're mad that I have poked a hole in this preposterous character from a movie.
It's like, oh, you just reciting God and fucking wood?
Yeah. And everyone loves that scene. A lot of people have watched that scene on YouTube many times.
Yeah, it's a good
I've
scene.
watched it many times.
It's a good scene.
So people assume that I am a douchebag from Harvard. The truth is, I don't give a fuck about the characters in that scene. I don't dislike Matt Damon or like Matt Damon as a person more. I have nothing against the guy with the ponytail, the actor, whoever he was who played him. I know that they're just playing characters in the same way that anyone knows me writing that blog. I'm a comedian writing for a comedy website. I don't really believe that just because this guy went to Harvard and Matt Damon threatened violence that he won the argument.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you meet people who cannot see beyond their own first impressions or very basic reading or understanding of what, and when they, I don't mind it unless they come at me personally in public and say mean things to me, at which point I'm like, all right, I don't respect you anymore.
It's fair.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I sound like a huge asshole.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Listen, the other thing too, it's like, like that exercise is of course going to make people like annoyed. You know what I mean? People are going to get annoyed.
The bear a little.
However, does it warrant coming up to you and telling you you're a dick, or that they assumed you were really like that? Definitely not. Okay, dude. One more thing. This is something that happened this morning, and Chris, I want you to know first and foremost, I'm not talking about you. This coincidentally happened. This is coincidentally not about you, because Chris and I were talking about gear this morning. And this is not about Chris.
Talk about what?
Gear, like
Oh yeah.
camera gear and stuff.
Mhm.
So, a friend of mine who I've shot a bunch of stuff with, texted me and he goes, "Do you have the mics? Do you have the mics?" And I say, "Yeah." Now I'm thinking about why he would ask it that way. I'm like, oh, it's because it was at his house before, and some of the gear that I've bought, I will never use because I use it only when I work with him. So I let him keep it at his house. I'm like, use it however you want, whatever. Some of the stuff we split, not much of it, but some, and I forget which things specifically, but I'm almost positive it was not the mics. I'm almost 100% sure that I paid for the mics. So I say, yeah. He goes, any chance I could grab? So I'm like, that sounds like a guy who owns something talking, right?
Wait.
Am I losing you?
I mean, a little, but I think I can get there. So are you saying, he said, do you have the mics? You said, yeah. And he said, any chance I could grab instead of any chance I could borrow?
Or like, they were at his house before. I bought them. They were at his house. When I needed them, because I was doing VO for my stuff, which is almost done, by the way, I took them back, and I've just had them ever since. And I've actually been using them a little bit. They're great. They're a great utility to have. We use them for the ping pong sketch.
So again, I think if he doesn't own them and he knows that he's talking to you, he would say, could I borrow them?
That's what I was thinking too.
Right.
So he's talking in a way as if he thinks that we either split them, he bought them, maybe he doesn't remember. He's like a little aloof. And there's also a chance it's just text semantics.
Exactly.
So the truth is, Chris is using them this weekend. Then next week, I need to use them again. And then the following weekend, I'm using them again too. And then, so I said this, they're being used for a couple weeks, but if you need to borrow after April 2nd, you can for sure. And he said, okay, all good. Over. But now I'm like, do I need to like look in my Venmo history to make sure that, because that's not appropriate if he owns those with me.
Agreed.
So
you don't remember.
I remember with almost complete certainty, and I would be the one to remember it more than him, maybe, personality type wise. However, now I'm doubting it, and I'm wondering if I should just double check with him. Because I don't want there to be, well, first of all, I can check. I can literally check. I'll look him up right now on Venmo. Right? There'll be, you see the history.
This would only tell you if you had split them, correct?
Right.
You either suspect that you split them or you know that you bought them yourself. There's no chance he bought them.
I'm almost completely positive that I
purchased them.
Bought them. Yeah, dude, I'm looking at our Venmo. I'm almost positive.
Got it.
No, we bought them before Ecuador. I bought them before Ecuador. I can even, dude, I'm pretty sure I have the receipt in my email. I definitely bought them. But I wonder if I need to be like, hey, am I forgetting that like you bought those and I didn't? But that's also a weird thing to bring up.
So this is just the only troubling text is, can I grab them?
It's not, they're not troubling. I'm just wondering.
Confusing.
I'm confused, and I'm wondering if we're not on the same page, and I don't want to not be on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
I like this guy a lot. We're friends. I don't want him to think that I'm being aggressive.
Does he listen to the podcast?
No, definitely not. Dude, this guy's a legend. This guy will tell me I'm not going to have my phone at all tomorrow. He just hates the phone, hates the grid. He's a very cool guy who's very in touch with what's important in life.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like not bogged down or caught up by anything. He's barely on social media. He is super cool.
Wow.
So there's no fucking chance in hell he's going to hear this.
Mm.
And I would actually bet money that there's no way he will ever hear this. And now somebody's going to fucking hear it and show it to him.
Yeah.
But and I wouldn't be upset about him hearing it. He would think it was funny.
Yeah. It's a funny thing. It's very neurotic.
But what should I do?
Well, I think you leave it. Now you've convinced yourself that you did buy them. You did buy them.
I must have. I can find.
And then if you said they're not available for the next couple of weeks,
he can take them whenever he wants. Of course.
You can have them then. And he said, "Sounds good." At which point it's over.
I know, but maybe he's like not wanting to. I don't know.
No, you're overthinking this.
Adorama. Did I buy that from Adorama?
So Julio is looking up his
I'm just so
credit card receipts and
Your
making
order.
sure.
Your order. Okay, it arrived. Okay, it went shipped to him, but I think I did that on purpose. It's not looking good. See order details. There's no way in fucking hell. I think
What kind of mics were they?
they're just like the Rode, like they're the mics that we were using for the ping pong thing.
Those lavs.
They're well, you have to plug lavs into them, but they also operate as lavs themselves, which makes them really cool.
Yeah.
Payment method. To be continued.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I guess we'll never know. Actually. Adorama receipt coming in hot. Okay, so whatever. I'm not going to sit here and fucking do this on the... Oh, yeah, dude. Billing method, PayPal.
You are doing what you're saying.
Sorry.
Do,
Guys, this has been a podcast.
You've done it for a few minutes.
I'm sorry. I love my friends. I love this guy. Zach,
good.
I love you.
Oh, it's all good.
I don't want to wrong you.
No, very good. Very good. Listen, fun episode.
Fun episode. Lots of stuff going on. Lots of twists and turns. A lot of ground covered. You love to see it.
I got a big weekend in New York City, April 8th and 9th. Francis Ellis.com. Gotham Comedy Club. 4 shows. They're going to sell out. I hope to see you there. I'm very excited about it. Come out.
I'm excited for you. Definitely go check that out. And we will talk to you guys soon. Oh yeah, watch the ping pong video. If you haven't, it's really a good time. And I will say I came for the ping pong, but I stayed for the commentary because it was hilarious when I was watching it. But we appreciate you guys and keep you posted.